The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched so far that its walls disappeared into a manufactured twilight. Representatives from 73 species sat in their designated pods, each one floating at a precise height that denoted their species' status in the cosmic hierarchy. The air hummed with translation fields, turning the clicks, whistles, and growls of 1,000 different languages into something each species could understand. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the center of the chamber floor, a small figure in a simple gray suit. Around her, the council members shifted in their pods with barely concealed amusement. Some made sounds that the translation fields rendered as laughter. Others simply stared at her with their various arrangements of eyes, antennae, and sensory organs. She had just finished reading Earth's formal declaration. The document was short, direct, and according to the council's reaction, utterly ridiculous. "Let me understand this correctly," Speaker Tom Von said, his three-part beak clicking in what passed for a Varian amusement. "Your species, which achieved faster-than-light travel merely 80 of your years ago, wishes to claim exclusive rights to a sphere of space 50 light-years in diameter around your home system." "That is correct," Chen said. Her voice was steady, calm, and carried no hint of the nervousness one might expect from someone representing such a young species before the most powerful political body in the known galaxy. "And you expect all spacefaring species to honor this exclusion zone?" Tom Von's tone made it clear what he thought of the idea. "We expect all spacefaring species to avoid this region." "Yes," Chen replied. The chamber erupted in sounds that the translation field struggled to process. Laughter, certainly. Disbelief. Outrage from some of the more aggressive species who saw this as an insult to the established order. Ambassador Chen waited. She did not fidget. She did not look away from the speaker's pod. She simply stood there, hands clasped behind her back, while the council members expressed their opinions of humanity's audacity. Finally, Tom Von raised one wing arm for silence. The chamber gradually quieted, though the undercurrent of amusement remained. "Ambassador Chen," he said, "your species controls 12 colonies. 12. The Zitharan Empire controls 47 star systems. The Marine Collective spans 300 worlds. Even the youngest species on this council, besides your own, has been traveling the stars for 600 years. What possible justification do you have for such a demand?" "We are not demanding," Chen said. "We are informing. There is a difference." A new voice cut through the chamber, deep and resonant with the kind of authority that came from conquest. Informing? Or threatening? All eyes turned to the Zitharan pod. High Commander Velxoth leaned forward, his massive frame filling the viewing screen. Zitharans were large, even by galactic standards, with thick armored hides and 4 powerful arms. They had built their empire through military might, and they viewed any challenge to their authority as an invitation to demonstrate their superiority. "We are not threatening anyone," Chen said, turning to face the Zitharan pod. "We are establishing a boundary."
"We ask that all species respect it. Ask?"
Velxoth's mandibles spread in what his species used for a smile. "You ask nothing. You stand before this council and declare that a massive region of space belongs to your infant civilization, and expect us to simply comply?" "Yes," Chen said simply. The High Commander laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "And if we refuse? Will your 12 little colonies wage war against the galaxy? We hope it does not come to that." "Hope." Velxoth stood, his full height impressive even through the holographic projection. "Let me tell you what I think of your hope, human. The Zitharan Empire has conquered species with technology far beyond your own. We have shattered fleets 10 times the size of your entire space navy, and you think you can dictate where we may or may not travel." Chen's expression did not change. "Commander Velxoth, I would strongly advise—" "You advise nothing." The Zitharan's roar echoed through the chamber. "The traditional trade route between Zitharan space and the Outer Rim passes directly through your so-called exclusion zone. It has been used for 3,000 years. Do you truly believe we will alter our course because a species that still uses fusion drives asks us politely?" "The route can be adjusted," Chen said. "It would add perhaps 6 days to the journey. A small inconvenience compared to..." "Compared to what?" "Compared to insulting the Zitharan Empire by suggesting we must go around your pitiful territory." Velxoth's forearms spread wide. "No, Ambassador Chen. I will not adjust our route. In fact, I believe it is time someone taught your species its proper place in the galactic order." The chamber went silent. Even the species that had been laughing moments before now watched with sudden interest. Velxoth's words were not mere posturing. When a Zitharan High Commander spoke of teaching lessons, fleets usually followed. "Commander," Tomvan said carefully, "perhaps we should discuss this matter in a more diplomatic—" "There is nothing to discuss," Velxoth interrupted. "In 3 of your months, the Zitharan trade fleet will pass through the human exclusion zone on our traditional route. If the humans wish to object, they are welcome to try. I suspect they will learn quickly why young species listen when their elders speak." He cut the transmission. His pod went dark. Chen stood motionless in the center of the chamber. Around her, council members began speaking among themselves. Some seemed troubled by Velxoth's declaration. Others appeared satisfied that humanity would soon be reminded of its place. A few looked at Chen with something that might have been pity. "Ambassador Chen," Tomvan said, his earlier amusement gone. "The council cannot control the actions of individual empires. If the Zitharan fleet enters your declared exclusion zone, we will not intervene. However, I must warn you that any hostile action against Zitharan vessels will be considered an act of war. The council will not support Earth in such a conflict." "We understand," Chen said. "Do you?" An older voice spoke from one of the higher pods where the eldest and most respected species observed. Ambassador Creole of the Vorden Collective leaned forward, her ancient eyes fixed on the human. Commander Velxoth was not making an empty threat. "The Zitharan fleet will include at least 200 warships. Your entire navy numbers what? 40 vessels? And those with inferior shielding and weapons technology?" 37 vessels currently operational, Chen confirmed. "Then you must see reason," Creole continued, her tone almost gentle. "Withdraw your declaration. Apologize to the Zitharans. Perhaps offer them trade concessions. It is not too late to avoid catastrophe." Chen shook her head slowly. "We will not withdraw the declaration. Then your people will die," Creole said flatly. "Child species, I have witnessed the rise and fall of empires older than your civilization. I have seen what happens when pride outweighs wisdom. The Zitharans will not show mercy. We are not asking for mercy." "What are you asking for?" Creole demanded. "You must want something. No species makes such declarations without purpose." For the first time since entering the chamber, Chen's expression shifted. Something moved behind her eyes, something that made several of the nearer council members unconsciously draw back. "We want to be left alone," she said quietly. "That is all we have ever wanted. We spent 10,000 years fighting ourselves, destroying ourselves, nearly ending ourselves a dozen times over. We finally unified. We finally looked up at the stars and decided to join the galaxy peacefully. And in 80 years we have been invaded twice. Had our trade ship seized 7 times and watched 3 of our colonies demand protection payments from species who see us as easy targets because we are young." Her voice remained calm, but the words cut through the chamber like a blade. "We are tired," Chen continued. "We are tired of being tested. We are tired of being viewed as prey. We are tired of explaining that we simply want to develop in peace. So we are drawing a line, a clear line. And we are telling the galaxy as politely as we know how not to cross it. Or what?" Velxoth's voice returned, his pod lighting up again. Apparently he had been listening. "What will you do, human? Your weapons are primitive. Your shields are weak. Your ships are slow. What possible threat do you pose?" Chen turned to face his pod one final time. "We told you what we want, Commander. We told you where our boundaries are. We told you what would happen if you crossed them. If you choose not to listen, that is your decision." She paused, and her next words dropped into the chamber like stones into still water. "But do not say you were not warned." She bowed slightly to Speaker Tomvan, turned and walked toward the chamber exit. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. "Pathetic," Velxoth muttered. 3 months, human. 3 months. And your exclusion zone will be revealed for the fantasy it is. And perhaps after we have passed through your space unopposed, your species will learn humility." Chen stopped at the door. She did not turn around. 3 months, she agreed. Then she left. The council chamber remained quiet for a long moment after she departed. Finally, Tomvan spoke. "Are there any other matters to discuss?" "Wait!" The voice came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Yulreen of the Corvan Dominion rose from his pod. The Torvans were an ancient species, peaceful by nature, known more for their philosophy than their military might. "I must speak." "Ambassador Yulreen?" Tomvan sounded surprised. "I have studied the humans," Yulreen said. It is my hobby, you might say. I have read their history, their literature, their philosophy. I have watched how they behave, and? Velxoth sounded bored. And I would urge caution, Yulreen said carefully. Humans are different. Different how? Krial asked. Yulreen seemed to struggle with his words. They are a species that spent 90% of their existence at war with themselves. They developed nuclear weapons and pointed them at their own cities. They created diseases that could kill billions and stored them in laboratories. They invented ways to poison their own atmosphere, boil their own oceans, crack their own planet's crust, and yet they never quite destroyed themselves. They came close dozens of times, but something always pulled them back from the edge. What is your point? Velxoth demanded. My point, Commander, is that humans are very good at one thing above all others, finding new and efficient ways to kill. They spent millennia perfecting the art, and now that they have finally stopped fighting each other, one must wonder what they have been doing with all that creative energy. Building colonies and fusion drives, Velxoth scoffed. I am not impressed. Perhaps you should be, Yulreen said quietly. When a human issues a warning, Commander, it is because they have already prepared for what comes after the warning is ignored. It is their nature. They do not bluff. Velxoth's laughter boomed through the chamber. Then let them prepare. I look forward to seeing what their preparations have accomplished. Perhaps they have built 40 ships instead of 37. Perhaps they have upgraded their shields by 5%. It will not matter. He cut his transmission again, and this time his pod went dark permanently. The council session ended shortly after. As the various ambassadors departed, small groups formed discussing the confrontation they had witnessed. Most agreed that humanity had overstepped. Some felt sympathy for what would likely happen to Earth's colonies. A few, like Yulreen, expressed private concerns that were largely dismissed. In 3 months, the Zitharan trade fleet would enter human space. 300 warships, the largest show of force the Empire had assembled in decades. It would be, Velxoth had announced, a demonstration that would echo through the galaxy for centuries. He was right about that, at least, though not in the way he imagined. The Zitharan fleet assembled at the rally point 3 days ahead of schedule. Commander Velxoth wanted to make a statement, and he had succeeded. 300 warships hung in the void like a metal constellation, their running lights creating an artificial galaxy against the backdrop of real stars. Each vessel was massive, built for war, covered in armor plating thick enough to shrug off most weapons in the known galaxy. Each one carried enough firepower to level a small moon. Velxoth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant Will, and surveyed his fleet through the main view screen. Pride swelled in his chest. This was power. This was the might that had conquered 47 systems. And he was about to use it to teach one arrogant species a lesson they would never forget. All ships report ready. Commander, his tactical officer announced. Excellent. Velxoth settled into his command chair, designed to accommodate his massive frame and 4 arms. Broadcast on all frequencies. I want everyone to hear this. The communications officer worked quickly. Moments later, she nodded. All channels open, Commander. Every ship within 30 light years will receive this. Velxoth leaned forward, his voice dropping into the formal register used for official declarations. This is High Commander Velxoth of the Zitharan Empire, addressing all vessels and settlements in this region of space. The fleet you see before you will now proceed along our traditional trade route, passing through the region that the human species has foolishly claimed as their exclusive territory. We do this to demonstrate a simple truth. Young species do not dictate terms to their elders. The Zitharan Empire goes where it wishes, when it wishes. Any attempt to interfere with our passage will be considered an act of war, and will be met with the full force of Imperial might. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. He made a cutting gesture and the transmission ended. Set course, he ordered. Standard formation. Maximum scanner range. If the humans have any ships waiting for us, I want to know about them long before we arrive. The fleet moved as one, hundreds of ships executing the same turn, accelerating together toward the boundary of human space. The formation was beautiful in its precision, intimidating in its scope. Velxoth had chosen the traditional trade route specifically because it cut directly through the center of the human exclusion zone. He wanted there to be no doubt, no room for the humans to claim he had simply skirted the edge of their territory. He would pass through the heart of their claimed space, and he would do it unopposed. The journey to the boundary took 6 hours at standard fleet speed. Velixoth spent the time reviewing tactical reports and deployment plans. He did not expect the humans to actually oppose him, but if they did, he wanted the response to be overwhelming and immediate. A quick, decisive defeat would serve as a better lesson than simply passing through unopposed. "Commander," his sensor officer called out, "we are approaching the boundary coordinates specified in the human declaration. Any sign of human vessels?" "No, sir. Scanners show empty space ahead. No ships, no stations, no defense platforms, nothing." Velixoth felt a mixture of satisfaction and disappointment. Satisfaction that his assumptions had been correct. The humans had nothing with which to enforce their ridiculous claim. Disappointment that there would be no actual confrontation, no opportunity to demonstrate Zitharan superiority in combat. "Continue forward," he ordered. The fleet crossed the invisible line that marked the boundary of the human exclusion zone. Velixoth noted the exact moment in the ship's log. Let the historians record that the Zitharan Empire had treated human demands with the contempt they deserved. Space looked exactly the same on both sides of the boundary. The same distant stars, the same empty void. The human exclusion zone was just like any other region of space, devoid of anything special or dangerous. "Maintain course," Velixoth said. "Estimated time to cross the exclusion zone?" "At current speed, approximately 8 days, Commander," his navigation officer replied. "Very well. I want scanner sweeps every 10 minutes. If a single human ship approaches, I want to know about it immediately." The first 3 hours passed without incident. The fleet moved steadily deeper into the exclusion zone, maintaining perfect formation. Velixoth walked through the various sections of his flagship, inspecting the crew, ensuring readiness even though he expected no actual combat. In the command center of the dominant will, tactical displays showed the positions of all 300 ships, each one exactly where it should be. Velixoth allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This would be remembered. The day the Zitharan Empire proved that human warnings were empty threats. Then the sensor officer spoke up. "Commander, we have a contact. Single ship, small, approaching from galactic north." Velixoth moved quickly to the sensor station. "Analysis? It's definitely human design, sir. Fusion signature matches their standard drive systems. Mass suggests a research vessel, not military. It's not even shielded." "A research vessel?" Velixoth frowned. "Hail them." The communications officer worked for a moment. "They're responding, Commander." Putting them on screen. The main view screen shifted to show a small bridge, cramped compared to Zitharan standards. A human woman in a simple jumpsuit stood at its center. Behind her, Velixoth could see perhaps 4 other crew members working at various stations. "This is Captain Maria Torres of the research vessel Cassandra," the woman said. Her voice was tired, as if she had been through this conversation before. "You are currently in violation of Earth's exclusion zone. Turn back now. This is your final warning." Velixoth stared at the screen in disbelief. Then he began to laugh. Around the bridge, his crew joined in. "Your final warning?" he repeated. "Captain Torres, look around you. 300 warships, each one capable of destroying your vessel with a single shot. And you issue warnings?" Torres nodded slowly. "I see your ships, Commander. They're very impressive, but I'm still telling you to turn back. Or what?" Velixoth's amusement faded. "What will you do with your little research ship? Ram us?" "I won't do anything," Torres said. "But if you continue forward, something else will. Please, Commander, turn back. Take the long route. Add 6 days to your journey. It's such a small price to pay." "The only price that will be paid today is the one for your arrogance," Velixoth growled. "You have 30 seconds to move your ship out of our path, or we will move it for you." Torres closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, Velixoth saw something unexpected in her expression. Not fear, not even anger, just sadness. "Then I'm sorry," she said. "I'm sorry we couldn't convince you. I'm sorry for what's going to happen, and I'm sorry that we tried so hard to avoid this and you forced us to do it anyway." 20 seconds, Velixoth said. "My crew and I volunteer for this," Torres continued, speaking quickly now. "We all signed up knowing what might happen. We drew straws to see who would get to be the last voice you heard, the last person who tried to warn you. I won. 10 seconds. Our families know. They're proud of us. We all left messages. Mine said, 'Fire,'" Velixoth commanded. The weapons officer pressed a single button. A lance of superheated plasma crossed the distance between the dominant will and the Cassandra in less than a second. The research vessel didn't even try to dodge. It simply vanished in a bright flash of light and expanding gas. Silence filled the Zitharan bridge. "Resume course," Velxoth said quietly. He felt no satisfaction from the kill. Something about Torres's words bothered him, though he could not say what. She had been so calm, so resigned, as if she had expected exactly what happened. As if it had all been part of some larger plan. He shook off the thought. The Cassandra had been nothing. A nuisance. Its destruction changed nothing about the fleet's mission. All ships maintain formation. Continue forward. The fleet obeyed. 300 warships now traveling through space where a single human ship had burned. 2 hours passed. Then 3. Velxoth remained on the bridge, though he sent his crew in shifts to rest. Something felt wrong, though he could not identify what. Space looked normal. Scans showed nothing unusual. The fleet systems all operated at peak efficiency. And yet, "Commander," the sensor officer said, her voice uncertain. "I'm getting something, not a ship. Not anything solid, just strange readings." "Define strange." "I don't know how to describe it, sir. The sensors are showing fluctuations in local space-time. Nothing dangerous, just unusual. As if space itself is rippling." "Localized gravitic distortion," Velxoth suggested. "Natural phenomena? Maybe? I've never seen anything quite like this before. It's almost like..." She trailed off, working her instruments. "Sir, it's moving with us. The readings are staying at a constant distance from the fleet, matching our speed exactly." Now Velxoth felt real concern. "How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir. Are we in any danger?" I don't think so. The readings are weak. Whatever it is, it's not interfering with our systems. It's just there." Velxoth made a decision. "Increase scanner power. I want a full analysis of this phenomenon. And send a message to all ships. I want to know if anyone else is detecting the same thing." Responses came back within minutes. Every ship in the fleet reported similar readings. The phenomenon surrounded them. A strange rippling in space itself that seemed to follow their movement. Could it be a sensor malfunction? Velxoth asked. "Across 300 ships, sir? With different sensor arrays and manufacturers? Highly unlikely. Then what is it?" No one had an answer. The fleet continued forward. The strange readings persisted, never strengthening, never fading, just maintaining their constant presence around the fleet like a shadow that moved in perfect sync with its source. In the following hours, other problems began to emerge. Small things at first, minor glitches in navigation systems, brief power fluctuations, communication delays between ships that should have been instant. Nothing serious. Nothing that would normally cause concern. But added together, they created an atmosphere of unease that spread through the fleet. Velxoth ordered a full diagnostic of all systems. The results showed nothing wrong. Every ship's computer confirmed that all systems operated within normal parameters. The glitches continued anyway, as if something was affecting the fleet in ways the diagnostics couldn't detect. "Commander," his communications officer said nervously. "The Relentless, one of our destroyers on the outer perimeter. They've gone silent." Velxoth spun to face her. "Silent? Define silent." "No response to hails, sir. They're still on sensors, still in formation, but they're not responding to any communication attempts." "Jamming?" "No indication of jamming, sir. The channel is clear. They're just not answering." A cold feeling settled in Velxoth's chest. "Send a message to the ships nearest to the Relentless. Have them make visual contact. I want to know what's happening over there." He waited, watching the tactical display. The Relentless continued moving in formation, maintaining exact position relative to the rest of the fleet. Its engines were clearly working. Its systems appeared online. So why weren't they answering? "Sir," the communications officer said, her voice shaking now. "The ships we sent to check on the Relentless, they've gone silent too." The cold feeling in Velxoth's chest spread. "How many?" "2 destroyers, sir. The Iron Fang and Stormbreaker. Both were moving toward the Relentless to establish visual contact. Both stopped responding about 30 seconds ago." Velxoth stared at the tactical display. 3 ships, all shown as green icons, all apparently functioning normally, but none of them responding. "Are they still moving?" "Yes, sir. Still maintaining formation perfectly." "Then who's piloting them?" No one answered. Velxoth made a decision he knew he might regret. "Halt the fleet. All stop now." The order rippled through the ships. 300 vessels began reducing speed, coming to a relative stop in empty space. 300 vessels, except for 3. The relentless Iron Fang and Stormbreaker continued forward, maintaining their original course and speed, pulling ahead of the rest of the fleet. "They're not responding to the stop order," the navigation officer said unnecessarily. Velixoth watched as the 3 ships grew smaller on the tactical display, moving away from the fleet. He waited for them to stop, to turn around, to do something that indicated living beings controlled them. They did nothing. They just kept moving forward, deeper into the exclusion zone, until the distance grew too great for visual contact. "Commander," the sensor officer whispered. "They just vanished." "What?" "The 3 ships. They're gone. Not destroyed. No debris, no explosion. They're just gone. Sensors show nothing where they should be." Velixoth felt his breathing quicken. Around the bridge, his crew stared at their instruments in shock. "Find them," he ordered. "Full sensor sweep. They have to be somewhere." They searched for an hour. Long-range scanners, short-range scanners, visual searches, everything they could think of. 3 destroyers, each carrying 200 crew members, had simply vanished from existence. And somewhere in his mind, Velixoth heard Captain Torres's voice again. "I'm sorry for what's going to happen." What had the humans done? What had he led his fleet into? Commander Velixoth had not slept in 36 hours. He stood on the bridge of the dominant will, staring at tactical displays that made less sense with each passing hour. Around him, his crew worked with quiet desperation, searching for answers that refused to appear. The fleet had lost 47 ships. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply gone as if they had never existed at all. One moment they appeared on sensors, maintaining perfect formation. The next moment, empty space, no explosions, no debris fields, no distress calls, nothing. The disappearances followed no pattern Velixoth could identify. Ships on the outer perimeter vanished. Ships in the center of the formation vanished. Large battle cruisers and small frigates disappeared with equal frequency. The only constant was that once a ship went silent, it was already too late. Within minutes, sometimes seconds, it would simply cease to exist. "Report," Velixoth demanded. His voice was hoarse from shouting orders and demanding explanations that no one could provide. "Fleet count stands at 253 vessels, Commander," his tactical officer said. She looked exhausted. Her scales had lost their normal sheen and her hands trembled as she worked her console. "We have lost 6 more ships in the past hour. 6 ships. More than 1,200 crew members, gone. Damage reports?" "No damage to report, sir. Ships that have not disappeared are all showing green across the board. All systems nominal." That was perhaps the most terrifying part. The ships that remained were fine. Perfect even. No system failures, no battle damage, no signs of any external threat. Crews reported feeling uneasy, uncomfortable, as if they were being watched. But the ships themselves functioned flawlessly, right up until they vanished. "What about the sensor readings? The spatial distortions we detected earlier?" "Intensifying, Commander. The rippling effect is much stronger now. Some of our sensor technicians are reporting unusual feedback patterns. They describe it as if space itself is alive around us." Velixoth felt his mandibles tighten with stress. "That's not scientifically possible." "No, sir, it's not." He turned to his communications officer. "Any response from the humans?" "Negative, sir. We have been broadcasting on all frequencies, requesting dialogue, requesting explanation, requesting anything. No response. Either they're not listening or they're choosing not to answer. Or they're all dead too," Velixoth thought but did not say aloud. If whatever was destroying his fleet was also destroying human settlements in the region, there might be no one left to answer. But he didn't believe that. Deep in his gut, he knew the humans were out there, watching, waiting, letting this happen. "Commander," the navigation officer called out, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "We have a problem with the jump coordinates." "What kind of problem?" "I've been calculating jump vectors to get us out of this region. Multiple routes, different destinations, everything I can think of. But every calculation, no matter where I set as the destination, shows us jumping deeper into the exclusion zone.